Good morning, fourth grade. Today we're going to continue reading in our text, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon. And we're going to pick up at chapter 29. Our quick write for today is, have you ever had someone in your life who is willing to give up something so that you could be happy? Describe this person and the time they gave up something for you. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the vocabulary. Our focus question today is, how does Minli's relationship with the dragon affect her? And how does Dragon's relationship with Minli affect him? Our vocabulary words for today are malicious. That's when you're intending to do harm for someone. So you would draw a line to this picture. The second word is companion. That is someone you spend a lot of time with or you travel with, kind of like your friend. And these dogs are examples of companions. And the last one is sacrifice. That's when you give up something for something else that is more important or more worthy. And so a lot of things people sacrifice are their time, where they help people, or they sacrifice their money. They give money to help other people. Draw a line to these pictures and turn the page. So we're going to start on chapter 29, but I want to recap what has happened so far. Ma and Ba have returned home, and they are very sad, that Minli is not with them, but they are going to have faith that she will return home. And Minli ends up leaving the palace with the borrowed line, and Dragon tells her that he has the borrowed line too, but they're unsure about which one is real. So they decide to keep both, and they continue on their journey. And late that night, a tiger jumps on top of Minli. And that is where our story leaves off at the beginning of chapter 29. Minli is getting attacked by a tiger. All right, so we're on page 162. Minli's scream seemed to freeze in the air. A tiger leapt at her, his scowling mouth glittering with pointed teeth, his blade-like claws rushing toward her. Minli knew there was no escape. But a flash of red violently knocked the attacking claw away. Minli gasped as Dragon roared, the tiger's claws ripping into his arm. With a brutal force of his other arm, the dragon threw the tiger back, forcing it to fly into the air. "Go away!" Dragon thundered in a voice that even made Minli quake. She would never have imagined Dragon could speak that way. The tiger glared like a spoiled child. Minli could now see that it was not an ordinary tiger. It was bigger than a horse or buffalo, and it was a dark, dusty green, like the color of sand dirtied with ocean foam. Even in the dim light of the moon, Minli could see its eyes glower with malevolence. And we'll stop right there. So we have our situation. We're looking at box 1 for the character. We know Minli was attacked by an evil tiger. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And in the quote, we could write this quote down that says, Minli's scream seemed to freeze in the air. The tiger leapt at her. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. All right, so we know it's at night, but we're still unsure about where Minli and the dragon are. So we're going to keep reading on page 163. "Go," Dragon commanded again. Minli realized she had forgotten how big Dragon was. The tiger was large, but Dragon was bigger. Though the viciousness of the tiger's expression made them seem evenly matched. But the tiger gave another malicious snarl and turned away. Dragon stood his full height until the tiger's moonlit shadow disappeared from view. "Are you all right?" Dragon asked finally. "That tiger," Minli said in a daze. "That tiger was going to kill me." "I know," Dragon said. "That tiger was truly evil. When you screamed, I could feel it." Turn the page. And strangely, without knowing why, Minli burst into tears. The tiger's roar still echoed in her ears, and she could see his cruel claws and eyes. Now that he was gone, her terror flooded out of her. "It's okay," the dragon said gently, putting his arm on her shoulder. It was then that Minli saw the 4 long gashes bleeding on Dragon's arm. The tiger's claw had been sharp and the slashes were deep. Minli shook herself and brushed her tears away. "You're hurt," Minli said, looking at the cuts, which were already starting to swell. "It's all right," Dragon said. "Don't worry. Dragons heal quickly." They walked back into the cave, and Minli poured water on the wounds to clean them. She wrapped her blanket around Dragon's arm, but it continued to slowly bleed. As he lay down, Minli noticed Dragon's eyes fade and blur. "I'm starting to feel strange," Dragon said huskily. "Perhaps I will sleep." "Okay," Minli said. "You sleep. Maybe when you wake up, you'll feel better." Top of page 165. But Minli felt as if she had swallowed a frozen rock. Something was wrong with Dragon. She knew it. Throughout the night, his breathing grew hoarser and his skin was damp. Every time she unwrapped the blanket, she grimaced. The ugly wounds had turned black, and evil-looking liquid was starting to seep. Minli shivered, and it was not from the cold. We'll stop right there because we know our setting and we have a really good idea of the problem. Our setting takes place at night near a cave. Press pause to write down your answer in box 2 and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we could write this quote on page 164 that says, "They walked back into the cave and Minli poured water on the wounds to clean them." Press pause to write down the quote and play when you're ready for the problem. Okay, and for our problem, we know that Minli has been attacked by a tiger, by an evil tiger, and when Dragon defended her, he got hurt, and now he's very sick. So in box 3A, we would write, "A tiger tried to attack Minli, but Dragon defended her." Dragon was hurt in the process, and he seems very sick. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we can write down this quote on page 64. Up towards the middle that says, "You're hurt," Minli said, looking at the cuts, which were already starting to swell. You could write that quote down, or you could write down this on page 165. "Something was wrong with Dragon. She knew it." Okay, press pause to write down one of those quotes and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're going to keep reading to find the solution. What is Minli going to do now that Dragon is very sick? "He's getting weaker," Minli thought. "Something is very wrong. I have to do something. Dragon needs help, but I don't want to leave him. What am I going to do?" By the time the first light of the sun crept into the cave, Dragon's breathing was rough. When Minli shook him, he did not wake up. Minli felt a surge of panic. "I don't know what to do," she thought desperately. Her quick-thinking mind darted like a flustered butterfly. "I know," she thought. "I'll have to go to that village. Maybe someone there will know what to do." Minli stood up and whispered into Dragon's ear, "I'm going to get help. I'll be back soon, I promise. Just hold on until then, okay?" But Dragon did not respond, and Minli felt tears start to form in her eyes. Turn the page. Quickly, without even gathering her things, she turned and left. It was mid-morning outside, and Minli squinted in the sun. The wind still blew bitterly, but she didn't even notice. Instead, Min Lee began to run towards the patch of yellow in the distance. And now we have our solution. Min Lee cleans Dragon's wounds and decides to go to the next village to get help. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we will write down this last sentence on page 166 that says, instead, Min Lee began to run toward the patch of yellow in the distance. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. Alright, and so for our paragraph it says, how did Dragon help Min Lee? What does this reveal about his character? And you can use your notes from the read aloud to help you answer this question.